our organic representation. Now, am I saying a physical object like a pillow has a soul? Not in that sense, not in those terms. It has a representation on what I would call the soul level that helps to keep it anchored in time and space and to stop its molecules from kind of floating off everywhere. Okay, so with that intro, I'll just read you a bit now. This is how. Sorry, excuse me. I got kind of distracted there. This is kind of how I got into it, how I came around to this kind of thing. I'll tell you one of the experiences a little later about when I was a baby and had a pretty interesting experience then. Don't mind my reading, it's very low grade reading. I finished high school, never went to college, university. I don't know if it's college or university, anyway. Got my high school. My mom was a terrific speller. I think it was speller, and dad was super in math. Is super in math. But me, I didn't get either. So I'm a semi-dyslexic phonetic speller. So if I know my wife kind of gets a little frustrated with me at times, and I'm sure my teachers just didn't know what to do with me. I think I'm the only person on this planet that can misspell the same word 5 times in the same paragraph and not know I've done that. Any of the words that get put out publicly, like all the different the descriptions for the videos that I do and the words in the videos, I have my wife review all that for me after I run it through Word, and I try and pick out everything myself. Anyway. One day in my early teens, when I was sitting on my bed in our newly built house, I began to think to myself these two things. One, it would be really nice if a person could reestablish balance back within people by using this substance that is all around us, instead of only physically touching them in some way, as our Western medical doctors do. I seem to possess a knowledge of the existence of something around myself and everything else. At that point, I could not see, smell, taste, or touch it. To me, this substance was not physical, but I sensed it was real, and it contained a kind of solidity. Pretty bizarre thought for someone that young. And the second, number 2, there just has to be more to life than working, eating, and sleeping, with some entertainment thrown in to break up the routine. I definitely knew that there was more to life, but did not have any idea as to what it was. Little did I realize at that time these 2 profound statements would set the pattern for some of my life purposes. The concept, and I'll just adjust the wording a little bit here, just referencing the book and such. The concepts the concepts of what I have found, and to my surprise have been revealed to me by an unseen factor, still stirs a sense of awe and humbleness within myself. The unique experiences of my journey then catapulted me into searching for the answers to what I went through. These writings and things I'm going to talk about are presented from my perspective of reality after the experiences themselves. I would like you to remember that I'm not saying that this is the way or the only way. Sorry. I would like to say that I'm not saying that this is the only way or the best way for you. This is the way I went. And if you are able to gain assistance in some form from my experiences, fine. If not, that's perfectly right also. With a sudden awareness of the New Age, quotes, New Age explosion, you may come to the conclusion that this is a large piece of fiction I pulled out of the cosmic toilet, using information from all the different books and things I've read and experienced. Since my experiences, I have become aware of the power of the imagination to make things up. For example, a person reads a book, let's say this book, or any book, or hears something someone else is going through. And then the individual finds himself or herself going through the exact same thing, but here they're only playing within their mind. So it's like they hear it and then all of a sudden they find themselves in that reality. Where was I? Public reading is not one of my strong suits. An individual finds himself or herself going through exactly the same things, but they are only playing within their mind. For me, believe it or not, things were not that way. First, I had the experiences, then the years of hard and sometimes painful research for the answers about what happened. With the things that I'm going to be talking about, I'll be again re-experiencing in a sense with you some of the so-called esoteric or secret things, and esoteric really kind of basically means secret, not in general knowledge of the public. We shall attend dream school, we'll traverse dimensions, we'll shake the hand of what some call God or the Spirit, the Force, may the Force be with you, or Creator, as well as come face to face with who knows what else. And yeah, we'll just leave it at that one for now. I will try to explain what I lived through and clarify as best that I can the areas that you may find confusing or you're not sure of. Okay. I've tried to present the material that I'm going to talk about and also what I wrote about here in the book accurately as possible, and do not claim 100% accuracy, as I'm not a degreed scientist, a physician, or a psychotherapist. Please take my words as information only. I leave it up to you to seek out other professional individuals in the areas that you need assistance with for yourself or your particular situation. I only say that because I'm not a superhuman. I'm a guy with some ideas, some understandings that might help, but don't ask me to perform open heart surgery for you. It's not going to happen. And if it does, I can guarantee by probability that you won't be happy. If you choose what I say, I strongly suggest that you also seek out other professionals in the areas that you need. For example, one does not take an automobile to a medical doctor for a tune-up. I present this idea because I didn't have any support people that I could call up and just talk about different things with. Here you got that. I'm in front of you here. So if you don't know something, or you're unsure, or you have an experience that you'd like some information on, some clarity, hey, I'm here. Let me know. If I got an answer, I'll give it to you. If not, I'll tell you that as well. And when we're discussing down in the comments, please do be respectful of other people's sharing. Some of them I expect will be plain, blatant, outright lies. That'd be unfortunate. I'm sure there eventually, even if this series gets more popular, that some of that may end up happening. What I try and do myself, the way I approach it is, I take people at face value. I do trust people, probably more than I should, but I like to give them the benefit of the doubt until they prove me otherwise. So if someone comes to me and they appear honest, they appear genuine, and then they do something that proves they're not, gone. I don't have no time for you. Just go away. So I've had some people like that in my life, and a few years ago, they came under false pretenses, and I gave them a second chance. And over a term of a while, they proved themselves false, and they just basically wasted my life at that point. They wasted their life where they could have been off doing something a lot better. They could have been off, anyway. So I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but don't jerk my chain or you're gone. I know that's kind of harsh, but hey, we live in a world of polarities. Isn't that gorgeous? And besides, we need all these different shades of expression in reality, because if we had only one expression, my gosh, that would be so boring and just basic, not fun. Okay, didn't have any support people, okay, and okay. You could say I went through the school of hard knocks, and some knocks are very much more difficult to recover from than others. And I'll touch on those a little bit later. It has to really do with psychology of the individual's makeup of the awake personality. And if you follow the suggestions for setting up your meditation space, you'll be able to avoid that pitfall. So, wishing you a slow and steady integration of your own knowingness with activation from your innermost center. Okay, so now here is a little bit more reading. Just, let's see, where should we go here? A couple pages, we'll just do how it started so you can get some more grounding in where I was coming from. And I must also warn the atheists. Atheists. Yes, as you can tell, I'm trying not to edit these series as much, so we may have a lot more bloopers in them. At times, if I really screw up and really don't want it in there, then I'll cut it out. But excuse me, this should prove interesting. Okay, the atheists. Yeah, here's the got the religion terminology coming in here. So I just substitute it where appropriate. How it started. It began again. You notice that? There's already our first one. It began again. Began again. I don't know if you caught that, but now you did. Dry humor, eh? Okay. It began again when I was a young adult. While I sat in my apartment, a thought about God stirred the old memories that were tucked away long ago. That's the two memories I had when I was even younger. The thought, through my mother's side of the family, I was born into a Roman Catholic church. This Catholic approach is the structure I will work with for the beginning of these writings, or of our sessions here. From an early age, I was taught that there was a God, and that it created heaven and earth as well as an unseen reality. I was also taught that I had a soul and that there was a devil. To be able to make such a universe, God must be some kind of supreme being. God must be some kind of supreme thing. Is God an advanced person? Or is God a powerful being? Or maybe not either of these, but something else. It became apparent that I had a dilemma. So how do I get my answer to this perplexing question? Well, I thought if God created me in its image, then I must be able to discover the answer somehow. I thought and came up with the idea that if God exists like I was taught, then why not ask him, her, it? I was just going to go and ask this mystery called God exactly who or what it was. This would not be a regular chit-chat type of conversation. I was just going to talk openly, face to face, with the mystery of the millennium. The one that had created all that is and was, or will be, even including nuclear reactions and volcanoes. The sudden realization came to me of what could happen coming face to face with this supreme one. Well, we're talking death. Instantaneously erasing of my soul, body, clothes, everything. Total removal of my existence. As though I never existed at all. Knowing that was a possibility, I still had to satisfy my question. I was calculating that there would be a microsecond between the registering of the answer and the great erasing. I took a deep breath and retrained my sights on the goal I was now willing to die for. And it wasn't, just on a side note, it wasn't like a death wish or a suicide wish or anything like that. It was, I had this question I wanted to know the answer to, and I was willing to give up everything for it. And no, I wasn't on drugs, although even when I read some of the things that I went through, from a perspective of a person looking in from the outside without the background, I looked like a total whack job. But trust me, there were no drugs illegal or prescribed involved. No alcohol, no any of that. And we'll cover that when we get later on in the food component part. And what I was going to die for. The next difficulty I faced was how I would get its phone number. I strongly suspected God was not listed in the phone book, or at least I had never seen its listing in the white pages. Well, I went back to my Catholic upbringing. It taught me that God is close to me as my own heart. God is as close to me as my own heart. If this is so, God must be able to hear me, and it must also know my question. I then began figuring out what was called an affirmation. What was first needed, I thought, was protection from the magnitude of energy that I might encounter in order to get to the source. The affirmation turned out something like this. I asked for protection and assistance from my guardian angel, and again we'll get into angels later, so I can come face to face with God. The second thing was to allow myself to let go of what I personally believed. I had a sense that in some way my beliefs might limit me to only, just a second, I want to get this correctly here. I sensed that in some way my beliefs might limit me to only see what I had been taught about God and myself. Since I might not survive after the encounter, that baggage would only weigh me down. In order to fully understand the truth of what was going to come, I allowed myself to open totally, both consciously and subconsciously. I had the willingness to let go of everything, including how I thought, felt, and sensed, even of what I perceived myself to be. Once the affirmation was finished, I read it out loud while directing my mind to remember what I wanted to happen. Since my angel was looking after me, I only needed to observe and wait for my request to be fulfilled. I had no idea or conceptualization of what I was getting myself into. And really, I had no clue of what was going to come. You know, lightning, it'll burn you in an instant. It'll kill you in an instant. The energy that's released in atomic, when an atomic bomb goes off, that is a created substance. God created everything. And everything we see and experience was a creation of it. Source, God, the force. So what was I getting myself into? My religion did state that there was this conceptual thing called the devil. This devil was supposed to be a nasty spirit that snatched you from God and imprisoned you for the rest of eternity, even if you only did one thing wrong, one mistake, no matter what it was, and you would burn in the fires of hell for it. Well, this thought about the devil, remembrance, did not sway me one bit, because my religion also stated that all is of God and from God. I was glad for that, because if the devil started interfering with my truly heartfelt question, then God could tap it on the shoulder and remove it. And I know that's a bit of a religious kinds of terminology there, but I felt that you needed to hear that and to get some background, so that by doing that, all this stuff that's going to come after will make better sense for you. Okay, I'll just go continue a little more here. I don't know where we're at for time, so I'll just go until the tape runs out, and I'll cut it up later. Okay, day one. And just again on the side note, I'm not going to be reading the whole book, so don't worry, that won't happen. We got lots of other things to do. Day one. On the day I woke up, read my affirmation out loud, and made my mind recall again to do. I remember a sense of increasing intuitiveness that I had never recognized within myself before. After consciously registering how I felt, I set about my daily tasks. Excuse me. By supper time, I had forgotten about my affirmation and what I wanted to happen. I glanced over, and sitting on top of the accumulated pile of papers, attention, I saw my affirmation sheet. Suddenly, a feeling of panic gripped me as thoughts raced through my brain. Will I be able to get my answer now? Have I offended? Will it, she, he, whatever it is, let me slip into the fires of hell over this? Can my forgetting be called a sin? I had asked my angel to help me, but had I blown my big chance? Do we have one opportunity for something of this nature? As my concerns reached the climax, I was thinking I would have to settle for a missed opportunity. Just then I felt my grandmother was phoning me, but quickly dismissed the idea. I assumed that it was only wishful thinking because of my guilty feeling. Suddenly the phone rang, and without hesitation or a second thought, I picked it up. "Hello," I blurted out over the line. "How are you today?" came back at me from the other end. With that statement, I was stopped in my tracks. Not a thought crossed my mind. I'm sure I would have even stopped breathing if it was not an automatic reflex. It was Grandma saying that she had thought of me and decided to call and see how I was. This Grandma had a special spot in my heart for all the kind things she has done for me. Sometimes I recall the stories she told me about her mother, whom Grandma claimed had the power. Grandma said Great Granny never talked to her about her abilities. She reported Great Granny could say who was coming over, and they would show up. The company would state when questioned that they were passing by, and at that moment had decided to drop in. Also, there were times when she would tell who the phone was for before it even rang. Grandma and I chatted a while, then said our goodbyes. As I hung up the phone, I found a warm smile light across my face. It had been confirmed that I was still on my path, and my angel hadn't abandoned me, nor was I going to hell. At least, not for a while. Okay, so we'll stop the reading right there. That gets us to day 2. So, there we go. I think I'm going to stop it on this one. Lots there, lots to think about. Just to recap a bit again, I I want to thank everybody for watching the DE series. We should get into some pretty interesting things, discussions, philosophical. I know they say you shouldn't talk about politics or religion. Not really politics in this. Religion, a little flavor of it, but don't let that stop you. In the comments, please try to be concise, respectful of others as well as yourselves, because everything is a connected ball of wax. Everything is like a spider web where you pull one thread, the whole thing will move. Video replies, I do encourage those. Let me know your ideas and opinions of the topic, the bits that we've shared so far for that video. And in future videos, I'm not going to keep saying it over and over, but please do try and stay on topic. If there is an area you want me to elaborate on, do share that as well with the group. And I do see, even though you're miles away, different cities, different parts of the country, different continents, I think we all can gain a better perspective, and more wholeness of understanding if we try to how should I say, just get along, maybe that might be the right words. If you have a question and you don't feel right putting it out there, getting your screen name or your name associated with your question, do feel free to send me a private message through the YouTube system. Be sure to put in the subject line a DE. You could go dimensional existence or just go DE, viewer question. So then when I'm going through my emails, I'll make sure to watch out specifically for the DE in the subject line. And in the email, if you don't want me to say your name, do politely just request that you stay anonymous. And I'll present the question in the following video and give an answer, but I won't say who sent it. Because I know there are some people that are honest. They have things happening in their lives, but unfortunately there are people in their environment, in their homes, that really can be harsh and criticizing, and like people have died, literally died over this kind of information, by someone just sharing a perspective, and we don't want that to happen. It's unfortunate, still going on, but then again, we're living in a world of extreme polarities down here in this reality, at least. So if you have something you'd like to ask and you're okay with the group, and I will call you my group, the group, because we are a group searching and understanding and growing and evolving. Oh, that brings me to an idea of perfection. What is perfection? Here's my definition of perfection, and I can't claim it. It actually came from Dan Melman through a private session I had with him. He's the guy that's got that movie coming out. He said, and I don't know if he came up with it, but he said, perfection is really purification in process. And I like that. So it's like you're never hit the ceiling. You're always growing, always evolving. And I like that because you'll never get stagnant. You'll always be becoming more. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble. This is the first session, the first real getting into it session. Thank you for watching. I'm Brian from BryansPlace. Take care of each other. Until next time. Take care.